Today on Inquirer, Senate approves 5.268 trillion peso national budget for 2023. Philippines' 12.89 trillion debt manageable and should not be a cause for concern, according to Finance Secretary Benjamin Diokno. DOJ holds preliminary investigation on the Percy Lapid slay case, but subpoena intended for suspended Bucor Director General Gerald Bantag contains wrong middle name, according to his lawyer. DTI releases Noche Buena products price guide. Prices of at least 12 food items bought during the holiday season increase. And a shocker in the FIFA World Cup. Saudi Arabia stuns Messi's Argentina with 2-1 comeback win. Good evening. For our top story, the national budget is another step closer from being finalized. This comes after the Senate approved on final reading the 5.268 trillion peso national budget for 2023. To give us an update, here's Denisa Fernandez reporting live. Denisa?
The Senate approved the 5.268 trillion peso national budget for 2023 on final reading today. During a plenary session, the senators deliberated on the 2023 General Appropriations Bill or GAB on the second and final reading, as the measure has been certified as urgent by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. With 21 affirmative votes, no negative votes, and no abstentions, the 2023 GAB hurdled the upper chamber of Congress. Prior to the voting, senators made amendments to the budget, mostly on the confidential and intelligence funds or CIFs. Out of the 9.2 billion peso proposed CIFs, 172 million pesos have been realigned to maintenance and other operating expenses. The 2023 budget still includes cash assistance for vulnerable sectors such as the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program and the protective services to individuals in crisis situations. Despite the declining new COVID-19 infections, the budget for next year has an allocation to respond to the pandemic's impact. The Calamity Fund, meanwhile, was increased to 31 billion pesos for 2023. This includes 1 billion pesos for the Marawi Siege Victims Compensation Fund.
So, Denise, just a quick clarification on the legislative process. The Senate third reading approval of this proposed national budget does not necessarily mean that it's already ready for signing or approval of the President, right?
Yes. Since the Senate and the House of Representatives approved the 2023 GAB on final reading, a bicameral conference committee will start on Friday. There, they will collaborate to come up with a reconciled version of the general appropriations bills. The reconciled version will then be returned in both chambers of Congress for ratification. Then the ratified version will be transmitted to the office of the President for his signing. The President then can approve or veto the bill.
Do legislators have a target date now as to when they are planning or at least eyeing to approve this budget so that it can be submitted to the office of President Marcos?
Yes, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri earlier said that the final budget law should be approved by mid-December.
Okay, so what really matters here is the BICAM approved version, right? So we'll wait for that final version, I guess, before we scrutinize it, okay? Thanks, Denisa. That's Denisa Fernandez reporting live. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is seriously considering several people to designate as Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, according to Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin. During a Commission on Appointments panel deliberations, Bersamin was quizzed if he is supporting calls for the President to appoint a permanent DA head as food and commodities prices soar.
Actually, the President is seriously considering several people to appoint on a permanent basis or regular basis to represent or minister the DA portfolio, but he has not yet signified to us that he is ready to announce his decision.
According to Bersamin, the DA is being handled by Marcos and an experienced undersecretary on a daily basis. He said that the president is addressing the issue of rising prices together with his cabinet, especially those that are relevant to food production and food security. In October, the country's inflation rose to 7.7%, the quickest increase since December 2008. A farmers group and even opposition Senator Risa Ontiveros, among others, had urged Marcos to appoint a full-time DA chief. Finance Secretary Benjamin Diokno says the Philippines' 12.89 trillion peso debt is manageable and not a cause for concern. To tell us more, here's Denisa Fernandez reporting live. Denisa.
Yes, Neil, the country's debt is manageable and should not be a cause for concern, Finance Secretary Benjamin Diokno said today. As of end July, though the country's debt climbed to 12.89 trillion pesos, the Bureau of the Treasury figures showed. During a Commission on Appointments or CA panel debate on his ad interim appointment, Diokno said that the debt to gross domestic product or GDP ratio increased due to the COVID-19 pandemic from 40% pre-pandemic. The debt to GDP ratio rose to 62% due to purchase of COVID-19 vaccines and strengthening the country's health services, said Diokno. Outgrowing the country's debt, Diokno said, would address the current debt to GDP ratio. The finance chief stressed that the government has a very strong economic strategy, which will make the economy grow by 6.5 to 8% in the next 6 years. The Philippine debt is projected to reach 14.63 trillion pesos by the end of the year. Moreover, despite projections of a global recession, the Philippines is not going into one, Diokno said. The global economic decline, according to the chief, will not affect the country because of improvements in the local economy, such as a lower unemployment rate and focus in agriculture and manufacturing, among others. While Villafuerte believes in the leadership of Diokno, he said that the government should really prepare for the impending global recession. Diokno then pointed out that the country's economy is domestic-driven. Further, Villafuerte believes that the national budget of 5.268 trillion pesos for next year will help mitigate the global recession that may happen.
Denisa, just a quick question. Saying that the country's debt is manageable is one thing. But as per your report, if I got it correctly, the debt is still projected to reach more than 14 trillion rather, right? So what concrete plans does the administration have to address this?
Yes, Neil, the economic team of President Marcos earlier presented the 8-point economic agenda of the administration. Among the administration's socioeconomic agenda are protecting purchasing power by ensuring food security and reducing transport, logistics, and energy costs, and also the creation of jobs by promoting investments.
Okay, that's Denisa Fernandez reporting live. A mistake was found in the subpoena sent to suspended Bureau of Corrections Director General Gerald Bantag, according to his lawyer Rocky Balisong. During today's preliminary investigation, Balisong said the subpoena requiring Bantag to attend the November 23 and December 5 preliminary investigation was for a different person. He said that the subpoena was addressed to a certain Gerald Bantag E. Rosario. However, the suspended Bucor chief's middle name is Kitaleg. According to Bantag's lawyer, the error is fatal because it refers to two different individuals, adding that this Gerald Bantag E. Soriano is not their client. Meanwhile, Bantag's correspondent, Bucor Deputy Security Officer Ricardo Zulueta, was a no-show in the preliminary probe. Senior Assistant State Prosecutor Charlie Guhit said that not even a lawyer appeared on behalf of Zulueta. On the other hand, the new Bilibid prison inmates under the custody of the National Bureau of Investigation appeared via video conferencing. Roy Mabasa, the brother of radio man Percy Lapid, also appeared during the preliminary investigation. Mabasa said he expects that seeking justice will take time. The next preliminary investigation is set on December 5. The Department of Trade and Industry has released a list of prices for food items commonly bought during the holiday season, including ham and fruit cocktail. At least 12 Noche Buena products logged price increases that ranged between 1 peso and 56 pesos and 60 centavos. The price for 1 kilogram of ham ranges between 314 pesos and 650 pesos, while 432 grams of a fruit cocktail can cost as much as 64 pesos. 200 grams of cheese sells at a 54.35 to 676.20 centavos, while queso de bola is sold at 310 to 445 pesos. Mayonnaise prices range from 24 to 32 pesos, while a jar of sandwich spread can be sold for as high as 126 pesos. The prices of spaghetti pasta ranges from 39 pesos and 25 centavos to 61 pesos and 50 centavos, while elbow macaroni sells at 39 pesos and 25 centavos to 70 pesos and 75 centavos. 1 kilogram of salad macaroni sells for 79 to 117 pesos. Spaghetti sauce can be sold for as much as 95 pesos and 50 centavos, while the price of tomato sauce ranges from 70 to 92 pesos and 25 centavos. All-purpose cream is sold at 63 to 75 pesos. In a previous statement, the DTI attributed these price increases to manufacturers adjusting the amount that they charge due to rising cost of raw materials. Several federations of government unions are urging the government to raise the national minimum salary to be able to earn a living wage. Santiago Dasmariñas Jr., National President of Confederation for Unity, Recognition, and Advancement of Government Employees, said that present policies such as the Salary Standardization Law and the Compensation and Position Classification System have deprived the workers of salaries and benefits needed to make ends meet. The labor unions called for an increase in the minimum wage rate of government employees to 33,000 pesos per month, which they said was based on current family living wage standards. Based on the preliminary data of the Family Income and Expenditure Survey of the Philippine Statistics Authority, a family of 5 needed at least 12,030 pesos to meet both basic food and non-food needs. Suspended National Irrigation Administration head Benny Antiporda says he would resign if President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. orders him to do so amid the recent controversy surrounding the NIA. In an exclusive interview with INQUIRER.net's Inside Look, while Antiporda stressed he is ready to resign if asked by Marcos, the suspended official said that he would not step down as of now because that means yielding to the lies supposedly propagated against him and forsaking the mandate entrusted to him by the President.
Well, alam mo, napakagalang natin sa ating President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. If he wishes me to resign, I will resign. Hindi I work at the pleasure of the President and he knows how sincere I am in my job. And it is not because of the salary, that's why I want the suspension to be lifted. It is about the delivery of service to the people.
Antiporda believes Marcos has not been properly appraised yet regarding the situation at NIA, based on an interview with the President earlier. Marcos told reporters on Tuesday that operations of the NIA would continue unhampered, even with the issues faced by the agency and Antiporda. Still, the suspended NIA official believes the President still trusts him. Antiporda was placed under a 6-month preventive suspension without pay by the Office of the Ombudsman last November 15, after NIA employees and former officials filed complaints against him for grave misconduct and for alleged harassment. However, Antiporda disputed the accusations, saying that the issues raised are misleading as they were bloated to make him look bad.
Well, alam mo, napakagalang natin sa ating President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. If he wishes me to resign, I will resign. I work at the pleasure of the President and he knows how sincere I am in my job. And it is not because of the salary, that's why I want the suspension to be lifted. It is about the delivery of service to the people. Hindi pa na-inform ng maayos ang Presidente on the situation. But just hoping that the President can spare his precious time na makinig sa sasabihin ko for him to know na gaano kagrabe ang sindikato dito talaga sa NIA.
So you can watch the full interview on Inside Look, which airs tonight 7 p.m. on INQUIRER.net's social media channels. Now for our next story, Saudi Arabia notched one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history with a 2-1 win over Lionel Messi's Argentina. Messi scored a 10th-minute penalty in a dominant first-half display where he and Lautaro Martinez also had 3 goals disallowed for offside. But Saudi Arabia, the second lowest-ranked team in the tournament, threw caution to the wind at the start of the second half, charging at Argentina's defense. Salah Al-Shairi squeezed in a low shot in the 48th minute, while Salem Al-Dawsari curled in a scorching strike from the edge of the penalty area in the 53rd minute. Despite plenty of possession after that, Argentina was unable to penetrate Saudi Arabia. The result revived all the question marks over Argentina's defense and broke its amazing 36-match undefeated run. Argentina's last defeat was by Brazil in the semifinals of the Copa America in July 2019. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.